Hello coaches and HWCA community. I am Coach Britt, founder of the Holistic Wellness Coaching Academy, where we train and certify elite health and life coaches in holistic gut health and mindset strategy coaching. This is part of our YouTube series and our kind of educational basis that we do here. Today we are going to be talking all about leaky gut and the controversy that surrounds this elusive and somewhat debated topic. So what we're going to talk about today is firstly the concept of food for thought. So when we give you guys this information, or whenever I teach my coaches or train my coaches, we have to maintain a level of humility in knowing that science is always evolving, especially in the realm of gut health. This stuff is just growing by the day, and we've learned so much in even just a short duration of time that's changed the way we look at overall wellness, changed the way that we're starting to perceive the possibility that, of how disease actually starts, and in believing that the gut is now holding so much power over the entire body and all systems of wellness. So how we want to approach these classes, these segments, these things that we're doing, these are just what we call food for thought information. So we'll give you guys a lot of scientifically based information that's current for what we, where we stand today, but also too, there's a lot of just food for thought. So concepts and things and questions and research and testimonials of people, so that we can kind of start deciphering new ways of thinking and really deciding for ourselves what is maybe the best path for wellness, for treatment, for prevention, and for health in general. So this is how we train our coaches. We give them a lot of information and training in gut health and all that is, in the bacterial science of the microbiome, etc. However, we have to always consistently be in a state of learning. So today we are really focused on leaky gut. So for those of you who aren't really familiar with what leaky gut is, or maybe you're a little familiar, maybe you're familiar with the terminology, but not totally, you don't totally have an understanding of what it is. We'll just go over the basics. So what is leaky gut? Leaky gut is essentially hyperpermeability of the gut, which is, in most part, we're referring to the intestines and the area of your body that's going to process nutrients. Now, this area, your intestinal tract, it has basically a mesh lining. So it's almost like it's almost like a netting, but it's very, very small openings, and those are purposeful in order to allow nutrition and stuff into the body and water and things like that in order to be absorbed. Problem is that a lot of people have, what we're believing to have hyperpermeability, which is essentially being coined leaky gut. What this is it's when those tight junctions are overly widened. So all kinds of things are now making its way into the bloodstream, which is supposed to remain sterile. The bloodstream is it's not supposed to see things like certain food particles and chemicals and things like that. That's what's meant to stay in there and then be eliminated out of the body. But when a person has this concept that we're talking about called leaky gut or hyperpermeability, then their intestines aren't filtering some of this stuff, and it's letting it run rampant in the body. So a lot of people now in the naturopathic communities and in holistic health, etc., we're starting to lean toward really the belief that maybe this leaky gut issue is coming first, that the chicken before the egg is actually the gut that is leading then to the inflammation. And now we know that inflammation is present in majority of diseases and conditions and illnesses. When we look at our patients, etc., it's like they're exhibiting these high inflammation levels. So where the debate is standing now, and this is the food for thought piece of it, is which comes first, the chicken or the egg? And it may not be that simple. So is it leaky gut that's then leading to inflammation, that's then leading to chronic disease? Or is it disease and conditions that are then inadvertently leading to this permeability in the gut? So certain science debates this, different aspects, different practitioners, different people in different areas of wellness and health and science, etc., debate whether or not they believe leaky gut is actually a chronic issue or condition. There's some concern around the recommendations that are given to a lot of people who are perceived to have leaky gut, saying that these could lead to nutrition deficiencies. So this is where it's up to you to think for yourself, but we're going to talk about a few things to get those wheels turning, because that's what we do, right? So that is kind of the current controversy. I would say especially in the naturopathic arena, more people than not believe that leaky gut is the source of kind of the beginning stages of the rest of the thing, kind of the first domino in the effect of declining health. But there are some people who disagree with this. And so often when someone is given, when they're perceived to possibly have a hyperpermeability in their gut, then we're going to go through things like an elimination protocol, which is generally going to eliminate gluten, processed dairy, and certain foods of that nature. Now, the concern by certain professionals that you will find is that this could lead to more nutrition deficiencies. Well, with that, like I said, let's all play devil's advocate here. So most people are also going to say eliminate sugar. So if we're concerned that we're going to get less nutrition because we're not consuming processed dairy, gluten, which is generally hybridized in GMO now, and processed sugar, I would argue that there's worse things that we could probably, worse areas where we're getting nutrient deficient. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that the microbes in the gut are responsible for processing nutrition. So even when we take supplements and do all these things, if we don't have a good ecosystem in our microbiome, then we're not able to assimilate the nutrients. We aren't able to absorb all the vitamins and minerals and nutrition, which then will lead to deficiencies in vitamins and minerals. And that needs to be, I believe, at least our source of focus, is on really getting that microbiome to a healthy state where it can process the nutrition that we are eating, as opposed to being so concerned with the things that we may be pulling out. But like I said, we think for ourselves, right? So this is all food for thought. So one thing to understand, so zonulin is actually has a role in permeability. It is actually a protein that's synthesized within the intestinal tract, within the intestinal cells, and it's responsible for modulating the tight junctions in the cell wall. So it's essentially your body's way of creating basically a substance, a protein, that then has a job, and its job is to open these tight junctions. So science has been able to hone in on the fact that zonulin is released and triggered often with things such as gluten and certain chemicals. So that may tell us a little bit, especially specific chemicals, that when the body's coming into contact with things that it really feels are threatening, it sends this release into the body, or it sends this, starts manifesting this protein, synthesizing this protein called zonulin. The ironic thing about zonulin is that it is very similar to a bacteria called Zonula. I may be saying that wrong, but it's a bacterial toxin that was previously associated with cholera back in the cholera epidemic. So people that were passing away of cholera, they were then doing these autopsies and stuff, and they were able to identify the presence of this bacteria Zonula in their bodies, and it causes severe diarrhea and all the things that came, all the symptoms that then came with cholera. So they were able to identify that one specific bacterial toxin, and it has similarities to this protein synthesized bacteria's zonulin. So that's kind of an ironic thing, is it's, the body seems to be flushing something out. So again, food for thought information, but we have to ask ourselves, is leaky gut the chicken or the egg? And is there a definitive answer to that? When people have a condition, then sometimes they can develop hyperpermeability. But like I said, in order to play devil's advocate, we have to look at all the factors, because we know that we have really good reason to believe that a chronically leaky gut is connected to things like pharmaceutical usage, poor diet, certain things. And when we talk about gluten, you guys, keep in mind that in our modern society, especially here in the States, and I know even with working with coaches and stuff over in the UK, etc., a lot of our wheat, at least here in the US for sure, is hybridized, genetically modified, sprayed with all kinds of toxins. So it's not just that we're out there to condemn gluten. We have to look at the majority of gluten that we are coming in contact with anymore is not of its natural state, and it comes with just an array of other substances and things that may be causing reactivity in the body. So we're not out for creating a lynch mob against gluten. We just have to remain conscious that true gluten in its natural sense and its natural form that originally existed isn't easy to come by anymore. So we're looking at it very differently, kind of like dairy. We're not able to compare it as often raw milk versus pasteurized milk. But this will all be for another class. So the thing today is really understanding leaky gut. And there are steps that we can do to start healing that, but what we need to do as we are recalling it, and we usually do a 2-step process, and this is what most anyone in the holistic community is going to probably go over with you. It's what we kind of train our coaches with at HWCA, and it is to do an elimination protocol to some extent, to pay attention to the client's symptoms, and then a reintroduction phase, and to be able to give nutrients and things to the body to allow this ecosystem, this netting to heal, and while also recolonizing and getting that gut bacteria back to a healthy ratio. That's going to give us the best results and allow the healing process. If we can't get those, if we still have a toxic ratio of bacteria, it's going to really inhibit the healing of the actual intestinal wall and the issues that we see at the hyperpermeability. So again, food for thought information, but it's a concept we really need to tackle, because often we try and just throw things like probiotics at a gut issue, or drinking bone broth. Things like that is very good, but if we just do one thing and we don't take it on completely, then we can be not seeing the results that we necessarily want to see. However, science is debating this, so I encourage you, research for yourself. Don't just watch one video or hear one thing and believe just believe what you hear. Maybe you're an individual that's looking for your own health and advancing. Maybe you're someone in the wellness arena. This is massive information for people in the mental health field, the beauty industry, working with skin. Your skin is a direct reflection of your gut, I can tell you that right now. And people in, obviously, holistic health and wellness and coaching and everything that we do. This is growing now for practitioners. It's growing now for all kinds of physicians and people, even in conventional allopathic medicine. So it's just really important information, and research it yourself. Come up with your own opinions, ask your own questions, and talk to people. One of the biggest things we can do is not just read double-blind test studies, but to honestly ask and work with individuals and their experiences and get their testimonies for the things they're doing. That's going to tell us a lot about where we should research and where we should dig deeper, and where maybe we are a little misguided. So thank you for joining our short clip it today. If you're interested in becoming a coach, you can absolutely find out more information at HWCA'Coach.com. You can check us on Instagram at coaching.school. You can find me individually at CoachBrittsHolisticHub.com. And like I said, follow the school, follow our blogs and stuff, HWCA'Coach.com. We've got tons of blogs on this stuff. So if you're an individual looking after your own health, if you're someone in the wellness arena thinking about getting certified and training more in gut health, we're now branching into advanced gut health and microbiome testing, where we actually are training coaches to utilize the new microbiome gut testing kits, so we can actually have a little better idea of individual microbiome diversity in our clients and tailor things a little better. And this will give us a really good insight too, as far as food intolerances and allergies and things too, by really looking at that foundation. So for more information, you can find us there. Thank you for joining us. We'll be live with some of this every single Monday on Instagram at coaching.school, and you can rewatch these videos and tune in once a week. There will be a new one. So thank you for joining us, you guys, and we'll see you next week.